My screen visible? Okay, thank you for confirming. So let's do a small recap. We were discussing about in the last class, the discussion was about the static import. I hope it was clear. So let us do a small recap before proceeding with the new topic. So usually if you want to import especially the static members of a class, which is in another package. Okay. If you want to import only the static members, and again, when I say static members, okay, you can collectively call static variables, static blocks, and static methods as static members. Okay, any members with static keyword is called as static members. If you want to import only static members to a different class, then you can use static import. Okay, so this is how the syntax looks like. So you use import keyword followed by static, the package name followed by the class name, and followed by the this ampersand symbol, the star symbol. Okay, so this is going to import all the static numbers on a specific class. On a specific class, there might be any n number of static members, right? N number of static statements. Okay, if you want to import all the static statements, then you have to use this star symbol for preceded by the class name, prefixed by this class name. Okay, so this was an example, and so there are two ways that you can import any members of class from a different package. One way is by using the import statement, and second way is by using the fully qualified name. Okay, so and again we were discussing about the difference between the predefined class and the difference between the predefined packages. Difference between predefined class and the user defined class, predefined packages and the user defined packages. Okay, any package or any class that is defined by the Java, they are usually called as the predefined classes or packages. Okay, if you are defining any class, if you are defining any package, if any programmer is defining or defining any classes or packages, they are called as user defined classes or packages. And after this, we understood the difference between the import and the static import, difference between the typical import statement and the static import statement. Okay, so now the today's topic is going to be the complete control flow. The control flow of static or static context. The control flow of static members or the static context. Okay, and the control flow of instance members or the instance context. Okay, so let us jump into the program directly. So I have a class. So the name of the class has been defined already. So the name of the class is test class itself. Okay, inside this class test class, I am defining what? I am defining a static block, and inside the static block, so let us print something to get to know that whether this static block is getting executed or not. Okay, static, or I can say SCA. Okay, I have a static block, and I'm going to take another static block. Okay, this is SCA1, this is SCA2. So I have two static blocks and I have a main method. Okay, let me remove this. Okay, now you need to do the observation. So this is the user defined class and the user defined package. The name of the package is XYZ and the name of the class is the test class. Okay, and inside this test class, if you have to describe about this test class, you can describe it in such a way that this test class has two static blocks. This is one static block and this is another static block and one main method, right? So the moment I perform the compilation and execution, what will be the expected output? What will be the expected output, guys? The moment if I run this code, can you write the output in the chat box? The moment I run this code, so the moment I perform the compilation execution, right? I hope you got my question. What output we can expect the moment I perform the compilation and execution? Any answers? Okay, let me explain this for you. So we know this already. I don't know why you people are getting stuck here. So there are two static blocks. Okay, first the compilation will happen. Okay, compilation is going to perform the compilation. So this is my code. How to be very quick, because I have been doing the tracing for almost 2 months. You should not depend upon my tracing over and over again. So we have two static blocks. This is one static block and this is another static block. So the static blocks are recognized and executed at the time of loading the byte code to the memory. Okay, firstly, what is firstly, we need to save this file with .java extension. Okay, so the file name should be same as the class name. So class name is test, so test.java. Okay, after this the compiler will come into the picture for the compilation. Good, Jyotian, thank you for your answer. I'm not sure why others are not answering. Anyhow, good, Jyotian. Okay, so we have a compiler. So the job of the compiler is to do the compilation. So for the compilation, this test.java will be loaded into the compiler. So this compiler will perform the compilation, not directly. For that we need to specify something in the command prompt. Okay, we need to give instructions. We need to give instructions in the command prompt so that the compilation will be performed. Okay, it is like java c space -d space dot space test.java. Okay, this is the typical command to perform the compilation. Same thing I'm doing here. Java c space -d space dot space test.java. Okay. So the compilation will be successful. Compilation is successful. Why compilation is successful? Because we don't see any errors here. Okay. We do not see any errors here. So that's why I can say that the compilation is successful. Now we need to do the execution. Okay, for the execution, and again after the successful compilation, we get dot class files. Okay, test.java will be converted to test.class file. Okay, compiler is going to generate dot class file, and so you need to specify a command for the execution. You need to specify a command for the execution. Okay, this is what JVM. Okay, you need to specify a command to load the test.class file. For that, the command is java space package name.java. So xyz.java. Okay, so the moment you give this command, what does it mean? Java space xyz.java. Let me save this. One minute, I am making any mistakes here. Static block. Okay, so these things are missing here. Okay, let me do the compilation from the beginning. Java say space hyphen d space test.java. For the execution, Java space yz dot. Okay, SA1 and SA2 is being displayed in the console. Only one person has answered me, Jyoti, and others are not answering. I don't know why. I'm not sure if you are facing any challenges. Very simple question. So what usually happens because of this command? Java space xyz dot java. I mean xyz dot test. Okay, because of this command, the dot class file will be loaded inside the JVM. At the time of loading the dot class file, all the static context will be recognized and executed. Okay, we have two static contexts. One is SA1, second one is SA2. Okay, inside the static context, SA1, SA2, it will get displayed in the console. That is what happened here. The difficulty is that is what happened here. So because of this dot class file, since it is being loaded, okay, static context are recognized. So static block is one of the static context. So that's why the output is going to be SA1 and SA2, because there are two static contexts. And if you understand the order is being displayed in the sequential manner. Okay, the order is being displayed in the sequential from top to bottom. Okay, there are two static blocks. So if there is two static blocks, they both will get recognized at the same time, but the output will be displayed. The execution will happen from the top to bottom order. That's why we are getting the output as what? SA1 and what is it? SA2. SA2. Is it clear? Except Jyoti and what about others? Darshini, Jyoti, yes, Tashwant. Okay. Okay, you are supposed to answer this. We have been discussing this for a long time, so you cannot be just like that. Okay, so next question is, so you can get a question in such a way that okay, there will be n number of static blocks, so all the static blocks will be recognized and executed. And when you talk about the execution flow, the execution flow is always from top to bottom. Always from where? Top to bottom. Okay, let me take another thing here. I am taking a static variable, static integer a equal to something like method 1. Okay, I am not storing a value directly. Here I am not storing a value directly. Instead, I am storing something in the form of method. I mean, the value is getting retrieved. The value is going to be retrieved by executing this method m1. Okay, since I am using method m1, okay, it is appropriate, it should be appropriate for me to define this method as well. Okay, there are two ways to assign a value. One is like you can do the direct assignation, no issues. This is the direct assignation. Okay, the moment you do this, it is like this value 100 is assigned to the variable a, which is of static type, static variable we can say. Or else I can assign a method. Okay, so the moment I do this, I need to define a method. I need to define what method? I need to define a static method. Why static method? Because this is of static type. This variable is going to identify if the value is stored or not. No, the value is not stored here. Instead of value, it is a method. Method one. Some method. Name of the method is method 1. Okay, I need to define a method now. So method. This is how the method looks like. Method 1. Okay, it has to be a static method. So I have to use the static keyword. Okay, and it has a return type what? Integer. Okay, this should also be an integer method. Okay, so now I am assigning a value in an indirect way. So the moment the method 1 is getting recognized and executed, this method 1 is going to return value 1000. Indirectly, it is getting 1000 as a value. Not directly. Indirectly, it is getting 1000 as a value. But we need to understand if the method is getting executed or not. For that, I am using what? System.out.println. Okay, so I am saying m1. Okay, so this is the complete control flow of static blocks. So this is another example. Okay, so let us keep this example aside. Now let us go to the theory. I can say that static blocks and static variables are recognized and executed at the time of loading the dot class file to the JVM. However, the static methods are executed only during the method call. Only during what? Only during the method call. Without doing the method call, you cannot. The JVM will not execute the static method. Okay, method call is mandatory. Okay, but for the static blocks and but for the static variables, there is no such calls. They get automatically. Okay, they are automatically recognized and executed. I can say that. I can use a word like they are automatically recognized and executed at the time of loading the dot class file to the memory. Okay, having said this, and can you guess the output for this following code? Keeping this theory in mind, can you guess the output for the following code? For this particular code, for this particular Java code. Okay, so you need to observe only one thing. You need to focus on a few things here. Okay, focus on the variables. Okay, just focus on the variables. So this is a variable. Okay, nextly focus on the static blocks. Okay, this is a static block. So you are supposed to focus on static variables and static blocks because they are getting recognized automatically at the time of loading the dot class file to the JVM. So this recognition is very important. You as a programmer, you need to recognize, okay, if there are any static variables and static blocks. Yes, there is one static variable and there are two static blocks. Okay, they need to get recognized. Okay, first let us talk about the sequence. Okay, sequentially, you can see firstly from the top to bottom, first place first instruction is reserved for static variable. Okay, then followed by there is a static method, of course, but they don't get recognized automatically. For that, method call is mandatory, so we skip this. Okay, we do not want to depend on this. Okay, we have static variable followed by one static block followed by another static block. This is a sequential recognition, not top to bottom. So static variable will be recognized and executed, then static block will be recognized and executed, and this static block will be recognized and executed. Okay, I have said the answer. Now can you tell me the output of this code? Good Samyukta. What about others? Do you agree with Samyukta? Good Shashwant. What about others? Please you are answering. Okay, let me run this. Let me run the piece of code. Let us see the output. Okay, compilation is successful. Okay, the output is M1 SA1 SA2. Why M1 SA1 SA2? Okay, I have just said now it will be recognized from the top to bottom order. Okay, firstly we have static variable. Okay, this static variable has to be recognized and executed. Okay, but here there is no direct value. There is no direct value. Instead of value, we have assigned a static method. Static method has been assigned. So internally, what will happen? Internally, how are the things will be represented internally, that we will understand it here. Okay, so this is our code. So inside there is nothing inside the main method, but still our code is getting executed because of the static blocks and static variables. Okay, so the compiler, this is the compiler and this is the JVM. Okay, let us quickly do this flow. And okay, for the compilation, the command is java c space -d space dot space test dot java. Okay, because of this command, compiler is going to perform the compilation. Compiler is coming into the picture. Compilation will happen. For the test.java file is required. Okay, after the compilation, the compiler will generate test.class file, or I can say that this test.java file will be converted to test.class file. Okay. After this, the command for the loading, java space package name dot class name. Because of this, execution will happen. Okay, this dot class file will be loaded inside the JVM. This dot class file will be loaded inside the JVM. Okay, this is JVM. Okay, so static context will be recognized and executed at the time of loading the dot class file to the JVM. At the time of loading the dot class file to the JVM, if there are any static context, especially the static variables and the static blocks, okay, not the static method, static variables and the static blocks, they get recognized and executed at the time of loading the bytecode to the JVM. Okay, so we have a static variable. This is the static variable. Okay, now you understand one thing. Okay, if you are assigning a direct value here, for example, instead of method one, let us say that the programmer has assigned a direct value like 100. Okay, so in the memory level, there will be some changes in the memory level. There will be some memory occupied in the memory level, especially in the method area. Okay, especially in the method area. There is an area called method area, which is going to store the static variables and static blocks and static methods. Okay, in the method area, directly the value 100 will be assigned to A. Value 100 will be assigned to A. Now this is not a direct, we are not assigning a direct value. Instead of, we are trying to assign a value that is returned by the method one. So typically the method one needs to get executed. So method one needs to get executed. At the time of loading, this variable will be recognized, but not direct recognition, indirect recognition. Okay, because method one has to be called, and this method one is returning a value 1000. Okay, for that the method call will happen internally. Okay, this method one needs to get executed completely so that this 1000 will be returned to the respective variable. Okay, so at the time of executing this method one, I have placed a statement like system.out.println m1. So at the time of executing this method, m1 will be displayed in the console first. Right, so just imagine that this is the console. Okay, m1 will be displayed in the console, after which, okay, it is encountering the return statement. This return statement is returning a value of 1000. Value 1000 will be returned. Okay, and this returns, it will return back to the respective variable A. Okay, so now 1000 will be assigned to the respective variable A. What 1000 will be assigned to what? Will assign to the respective variable A. Right, so the actual value has to be what? 1000. Just for the example, previously I have taken it as 100. Actually the value will be 1000. Internally 1000 is getting assigned to the variable A. At the time of assigning this value, since I have included a statement like system.out.println m1. Okay, this m1 is getting recognized and executed. As simple as that. This m1 is getting displayed in the console. Okay, so first static context, static variable has got executed. Okay, this is the first static context. This is what? First static context. Second, there is another static context here. Another static block. It has to get recognized and executed. See, look at the order from top to bottom. Order is from what? Top to bottom. So this is the second static context. It's a static block, right? This is a static block. So it is displaying what? It is displaying SA1 in the console. SA1 will be displayed in the console. Okay, and again there is another static block. It has to get recognized and executed. Third static block. This is third one. So I am placing it like 3. What is the instruction? System.out.println SA2 has to get displayed in the console. Right? SA2. Okay, the idea here is even though if you place n number of static contexts, okay, the order is going to be from top to bottom. That's the idea. Okay, that's why we got M1, SA1, SA2. You can place any number of static blocks, but the order is always going to be from top to bottom. Making sense, everyone? Is it clear now? Jyoti, yes. It is not supposed to be 1000. Okay. Yeah, good that you are answering. Okay, okay. Now one more question. So I hope you have got this. So let me remove this. Now I am doing a small manipulation here. So I am taking only one static block. Only one static block I am taking. Okay. So this, let us name this as SB. For the simplification, the static block is being named as. Okay. This something is getting displayed in the console. That something is nothing but SB. Okay. When the static block is executed, SB will be displayed in the console. Okay. So I am taking another class here. Class A. Okay. Now inside the class A, I am placing a static block. Okay, SBA. Okay. This static block is part of class A. Okay, and this static block is part of class test. Class test. Okay, if I run this code directly, if I just perform the compilation, what is output now? If I perform the compilation of the execution, what is the typical output that will be displayed in the console? What value we will get in the console? Answer it to me. Everyone answer, guys. You agree with Jyoti, yes? You agree with Shashwant and Jyoti, yes? Everyone answer. Samyukta, Darshini. Okay, so let me run this. I'm not getting the right answers, so I will explain you what is happening behind the scenes. Okay, only SB will be displayed in the console. So I was waiting for this answer. No one has answered this. Okay, why is there is no chance for SBA to be displayed in the console? Why there is no chance? Okay, so at the time of loading, the only test.class file will be loaded inside the JVM. There is no scope for the class A to get loaded inside the JVM. See what is happening behind the scenes. Okay. So this is the class. So we have, of course, we have two classes. I do agree with that. We have two classes. Okay. This is one class and this is another class. Two classes are there. Okay. The part of the job of the compiler is to do the compilation. Okay. The compiler is going to generate what? Two .class files. One is a.class. Second one is test.class. Okay, but JVM at the time of loading the .class file to the JVM, what .class file we are going to push into the JVM? Okay, a .class file which is having what? Which is having the main method. So in this case, so we have a class called test class which has the main method. So it is our duty to load the .class file that has main method, right? So we are going to load only test.class file to the JVM. So test.class file will be loaded. At the time of loading this .class file, only the static context with respect to this test.class file will be recognized and executed. Right? Only this context will be recognized and executed, right? Static. Right? Is there any scope for the static context that is placed in the class A to get recognized and executed? No, we are not loading this a.class file. Only test.class file is getting inside the JVM. Okay, so that's why the answer is what? Is B. Are you getting this? People who have answered are getting this. Okay, so if I want to load the A class, okay, here in the main method I can place a obj equal to new A. Okay, if I run this code, If I run this a obj equal to new a, if I run this code, now it is appropriate that the output is going to be what? Now you answer me what is what kind of output that we can expect in the console. Now you answer me. Okay, I am creating an object for the class A. Now think and answer me. Think and answer me what output we can expect in the console. During the runtime, some SPA, SP. No. Again, you guys are wrong. Wrong. It's SB and SPA. Okay. Your people are not having revising, or I don't know what is it. It SB and SPA. Okay. So firstly, everyone has the wrong answers. SP and SP. No one has the right answer. Focus here. Okay, so we have the compiler and we have the JVM. Okay, this is the compiler. Okay, so you typically the file name can be what? Test.java. Okay, so this compiler is going to produce two .class files. Why two .class files? There are two classes inside this particular file. How many classes are there? There are two classes, so that many .class files will be generated. For each and every class, a .class file will be generated. So a.class and test.class. Okay, so typically we will be loading only one .class file inside the JVM because of this instruction. Only one .class file will get pushed inside will be loaded inside the JVM. We are specifying it very clearly. xyz.test. What does it mean? Okay, test.java file will be loaded inside the JVM. Test.java file will be loaded inside the JVM. Okay, at the time of loading the test.java file, the static context of the test class will be recognized and executed. Firstly, this is the static context, right? SB has to be displayed on the console, right? Why people are not making mistakes over and over again? Okay. After this, a main thread will be created. After recognizing the static context, main thread will be created, and main thread will execute all the instructions inside the main method. Okay, so the main method, inside the main method, only one instruction is there, a obj equal to a. So we are specifying a class here. What class we are specifying here? So a class we are specifying. Okay, when this specification is happening, definitely a dot class file needs to be loaded inside the JVM. Okay. Now a dot class file is being pushed inside the JVM because that is what the specification is. In the runtime, it is happening. In the runtime, it's a duty of the main thread to load this a.class file so that the specific actions can be taken. Without loading this, you cannot perform any kind of actions, any kind of memory level actions. In the runtime, it is getting loaded. Okay, now a.class file has been loaded. So all the static context in the a.class file will be recognized and executed. So only one static context is there, SBA. So the output is going to be SB and SPA, right? Are you getting this? Why any difficulties, any challenges that you are facing? Everyone? Are you getting this now? Yes, answer yes, no, whatever it is. Please respond. Everyone answer. I want answers from everyone. Yeah, I will ask you one more question. So this is the control flow you should aware of. We have discussed this a lot in our previous classes, but I don't know why people are making mistakes. Okay, when I do a obj equal to obj t equal to new a, think and answer me. I am creating objects for on two occasions. This is the first occurrence, this first occasion, this is second occasion. Let me take it as obj1, let me take it as obj2. Okay. Object is being created for two times for the class here. Okay, now what is the output if I run this? Tell me, think and answer me. Think and answer me. We should completely understand the static context flow, or else we cannot proceed further. That's why I'm stressing you a lot and I'm asking you a lot of questions. You can answer me. Jyoti and says SB, SBA, SBA. Is there any other answers, guys? Jyoti says SB, SBA. Good that you're answering. What about others? Any specific answers that you have? Okay. Your answers are wrong. I'm expecting the specific answer. Please answer, everyone. Please respond. Come on, guys. Come on. How much time you will take? Jyoti says SB, SB, SBA. What about others? Samyukta. Sashwan says SB, SBA. Samyukta says SB, SBA, SBA. Okay, let me run this. We did this a lot of times, but you people are giving me the wrong answers. The right answer is SB and SBA. Why SB and SBA, guys? See, firstly, there is no confusion that SB will be displayed in the console because test.class file will be loaded inside the JVM. So ideally, the output is going to be SB. First line output is going to be SB. No confusion. Okay. Then the main thread will be created. Main thread will get access to the main method. Okay. So it is finding an instruction for the class A. Okay. The object is being created for the class A. Okay. Now A.class file will be loaded. A.class file will be loaded inside the JVM. At the time of loading the A.class file, it is going to recognize the static context, which is SBA. SBA will be displayed in the console. Okay, and again the instruction is coming to the control is coming to the second line. So again it is an object creation. Okay, but the A.class file is already loaded, right? It will be loaded only once, right? I have said this already in our previous sessions. .class file will be loaded only once inside the JVM. That's it. It is already loaded. If you go back here, see, A.class file is already present here. It will not get loaded over and over again. Only once it will get loaded. Any .class file will get loaded only once inside the JVM. Even though if you are specifying the instruction saying that object is being created for the class A, what does it mean? Class A.class file is already there. Okay, it is already there. A.class file is already inside the JVM. Okay, there is no scope for the static contents to get recognized and executed because it gets recognized and executed at the time of loading. But it is already there inside the JVM. So, do you think that the static contents will be recognized and executed once again? No, right? It will not get executed. Why it will not get executed? Because static context will be recognized and executed only once. Please be informed that the .class file will be loaded inside the JVM only once. So at the time of loading the .class file, the static context will get recognized and executed. Okay, if it is loading only once, the recognition will happen only once, right? Only once, even at any point of time, it will get recognized only once because only one time this .class file is getting loaded. So recognition will happen only once. Okay, when you want to load it for the second time, okay, you can only load it if the .class file is not present inside the JVM. In this case, A.class file is already there. A.class file is already there, right? It's already there. So again, it won't get loaded and a duplication of A.class file will not be created. Okay. So again, if you try to load A.class file, the existing thing will be replaced. It will not happen actually. Duplication will not happen. It is already there. So it will work on the A.class file that is already available inside the JVM. So that's why the output is what? SB and SBA. Get it making sense, everyone? Good, Shashwant. Only Shashwant has got the right answer. Everyone, are you getting this? Please remember this point, very very important point. Dot class file will be loaded only once. At the time of loading, the static context will be recognized. Okay, one more example. Okay, one more example. Okay, I am removing all these. Now I am not doing any kind of object creation. Okay, don't get confused with this question. Okay, so these two are independent class now. Class test is independent. Class A is independent class. Okay, I'm not specifying, I'm not doing any object creation for the class A. I'm not doing any object creation for the class A. Instead of that, I am using an extends keyword. I'm making a relationship. Extends A. Okay, the moment a particular class is extending another class, the particular class, okay, the current class will become child class, and this will become the parent class. Yes or no? This is child class and this is parent class. Okay, so there is a dependency here. Test class is extending to the class A. Okay, if I take this as an example, okay, let me. Okay, so I want you to tell me the output. If you run this, just tell me. If you don't know, tell me don't know. Okay, if we have any guesses, you can do the guesses and put it in the chat box. Okay, I want answers from you. Okay, so what will be the output if I run this? Okay, I have two classes. Any idea or don't know? There can be an answer or there can be don't know. Anything you can answer. Good, Jyoti. What about others? Don't know. Make it fast. Come on, make it fast. We have to focus on instance blocks as well. Make it fast, guys. Make it fast. What is output? SBA. Okay, everyone agree with response says SBA. Jyotian says SBA. Okay, let me run this. Okay, so you people, okay, at least you're answering to this question. I'm happy about it. Okay, let me run this. First, you see the output. You will be surprised to see the output. SB. Okay, it is completely opposite. It's completely opposite. Why it is opposite? I will tell you. SBA. So you people said SB and SBA, right? SB and SB, but the output is completely opposite. Okay, why it is opposite? We'll understand that. Okay, see what is happening behind the scenes. Okay, so from our perspective, we have a compiler and we have a JVM. Every time I'm bringing this compiler and the JVM for the better understanding. This is the compiler and this is the Java virtual machine, which is also called as JVM. Okay, so ideally now you observe one point. Okay, so this compiler is going to do the compilation for test.java because that is the file name. Okay, definitely the output is going to be what? Test.class as well as a.class. Definitely two .class files will be produced by the compiler. Okay, and if you observe one thing, okay, here I am using this is the subclass and this is the superclass. Okay, so the moment you use the extends relationship, the moment you use the extends relationship, okay, after the extends keyword, the class that is placed after the extends keyword is going to be the parent class or the superclass. The class that is placed before the extends keyword is going to be what? The child class or the subclass. So this is going to be the child class, okay, and this is going to be the parent class. Okay, of course during the runtime, test.class file has to be loaded inside the JVM. Test.class file has to be loaded inside the JVM. But since you are using the extends keyword, focus here. Since you are using the extends A, okay, along with the test.class file, okay, test.class file will recognize this .class file because extends keyword has been placed. Firstly, a.class file will be loaded. Firstly, a.class file will be pushed to the JVM. okay, followed by the test.class file, because a.class file is the parent of the test.class file. Hope you're getting this. Because if you don't use extends keyword, no issues, only test.class file will be loaded, but you are using extends keyword. What does it mean? Okay, even though in the command prompt level, we are specifying what? We are specifying test.java. So this is whatever specifying it. We are just saying load the test class file inside the JVM. Okay, of course, test.class file will be loaded. It will be tried to load the test.class file, but this test.class file is depend upon the a.class file. Why it is depend upon a.class file? Because we are using the extends keyword. Extends keyword we are using. Okay, it will push the parent first. Okay, it will push the parent first, a.class file. At the time of loading a.class file, the static context of the a.class file will be recognized and executed. First, parent will be pushed, then the child will be pushed. Both will be pushed next to each other. Making sense? A.class file will be pushed first, then test.class file will be pushed. Why they both are getting loaded? Because of this instruction. Because we are using extends keyword. Okay, firstly, which .class file is loaded? A.class file. Why? Because we are using extends keyword. So parent will be pushed first. This will be pushed first. So at the time of pushing a.class file, this will be recognized, right? Yes or no? SBA will be displayed in the console. Secondly, then the test.class file will be loaded at last. First it will push parent class, then the child class itself. That's why the output is what? SBA and SB. Are you getting this, guys? This could be your interview question. Huh? Is it making sense? Okay, let us see how much you have understood this. Okay, I'm giving another example. Try to focus this. Okay, now this time I have 3 classes, guys. This time I have how many classes? Don't give me the wrong answers, because if you give me the wrong answers, it means like you're not getting this. Okay, try to. So this is SBC. I have 3 classes this time. Okay, test class is there, A class is there, and C class is there. Okay, this C class is completely independent class. Completely what? Independent class. Okay, completely independent class. Now I am creating a dependency, extend C. Okay, what is happening? Test is extending A, but A is extending C. Okay, if I run this code, now just look at this flow. Test is extending A. Okay, so it will try to recognize static context of A, but A is extending C. Okay, so static context of C has to be recognized and exist. Now if I run this code, what will be the typical output, guys? Already answered. Good, Jyoti. Yes. Do you agree with Jyoti? Yes, everyone? Okay, if this program is not visible, I will put the program here. The same program. Okay, I am placing it here for the better observation. What is the output? Everyone agree with Jyoti? Yes. SBC, SBA, SB. Good, Shashwan. Okay, the answer is correct. SBS, SBC, SBA, SB. SBC, SBA, SB. Right? Even though we think that output can be SB because because this is the main class. This is the main class, but this main class is extending to some other class, and this some other class is again extending to some other class. Okay, the hierarchy can be from, so this will be this C class will be loaded first, followed by the class A, followed by the class test. Okay, by observing this, the static context of the class C will be recognized first, this will be recognized second, and this will be recognized at last because of this extends keyword. Right? Making sense? Everyone getting this, I guess. Okay. Okay, next thing is instance context. Now I will mix both the static as well as the instance context. Okay, let's try to understand this. Okay, public class test I have. Okay, so in this class I have the static context. Okay, think and tell me SB IB. Okay, every time whenever I'm giving you the program, your focus should be what? Your focus should be how many methods are there. Yeah, there is only one main method is there. Inside the main method, there are no instructions has been placed inside the main method. Secondly, is there any static context or instance context? Okay, there is one static context which is in the form of static block. Static block. Okay, this is an instance block. Why this becomes why we call it as instance block? Because we are not using the static keyword. When you're not using the static keyword, okay, the respective block can be called as what? Instance block. We have a static block and we have an instance block. Okay, we know the recognition and execution time of the static block. Okay, when this instance block will be recognized and executed before executing the respective class constructor. Before executing the respective class constructor. We have studied this already in our previous sessions. Okay, if I run this code, what is the output, guys? What is the output if I run this code? Come on, tell me. SBIB. Okay, let me run this. Only SB is going to be the answer because static context will be recognized. It will be recognized at the time of loading the dot class file. The JVM. Okay, but instance context will be recognized before loading the respective class constructor. Before the respective class constructor. Okay, I did not define any constructor here. I did not create any object here. If the object is not created, there is no scope for this block to get recognized and executed. When this usually will get recognized and executed before the respective class constructor. There is no constructor for the class test. Okay, if I want to execute this, I need to create a statement like test obj equal to new test. Okay, object is created and the respective constructor is called. There is a constructor call here. Okay, before calling this respective constructor, this block will get recognized and executed. Now the output is SB and IB. Now the output is going to be what? SB and IB. Let me run this. SB and IB. Okay, so let me also place a constructor. Constructor name should be same as the class name. Test. Okay. This con test con. Okay. See, now there are three entities here. Okay. I will show it for you once again. Okay, there are three entities here. Let me separate the main method. Okay. See, we know that the static block will be recognized and executed at the time of loading the dot class file to the memory. So the output is going to be what? SB. SB is going to be the output. First output is going to be SB. This will be recognized first. That's why I'm placing what? Number 1 here. This block is number. Okay. So there is another block which is called as what? The instance block. Okay, this instance block will be recognized only when there is a constructor, only when you're calling the constructor. Okay, here the constructor call is there, test constructor is being called. Okay, before calling the test constructor, okay, before calling this constructor block, okay, it will check for any instance blocks or instance variables. Okay, there is an instance block here. Okay, so this instance block, it will execute this instance block first. Okay, this instance block will be executed first. So that's why the output is going to be what? IB. Okay, then the constructor will be, respective constructor will be executed. So then this constructor will be executed. So output is going to be what? tcon. Okay, so there is a direct dependency. Whenever you want to execute, whenever you want to see this instance block in the console, there should be a constructor. Definitely there should be a constructor, and there should be a constructor call. It is not like, so let me run this. If I run this, definitely the output is going to be which I have just mentioned, sbib tcon. Okay, if I am not creating any object, do you think that this 2 will get recognized and executed? I mean, this 2 will get recognized and executed. There is no scope, right? Because there is no constructor call, no object is being created, so this constructor will never be called. If this constructor is never being called, then there is no scope for this instance block to be recognized and called. Why? Because it will always be recognized before executing the constructor. When the constructor itself is not getting executed, do you think that this block will get executed? No. If I run this code, the output is going to be what? SB itself. Only SB itself. Why only SB? Sir, we have a constructor, we have instant block. Why these two are not getting executed? In order to execute instance block, the respective constructor has to be executed. Okay, if you want to execute this, you need to create the object. You are not creating an object, so there is no scope for this constructor to get executed. If the constructor is not getting executed, there is no scope for this instance block to get executed. Dependency is there. Okay, only when you call the constructor, the instant block will be recognized before the constructor, then the constructor will be executed. If you're not at all calling the constructor, there is no scope, right? Are you getting this, guys? Everyone, are you getting this? Yes or no? Right. So now see what is now see, if I'm calling constructor for the 2 times. I've given you some problems to solve this in the YouTube also. You people answered it correct there, but why you are not answering it now? Okay, I am calling constructor for the 2 times. Now you think and answer me what could be the output. I will wait for you. I will wait for your answers. You can answer me what could be the output. If you get knocked out of the meeting, try to rejoin. Not this one, guys. Now answer this to me. Come on, answer it to me. I'm calling constructor for 2 times. There is a static block as well here. We have a static block here, and we have an instance block here, and we have a constructor call. Okay, I have just explained you when this instance block will be recognized before calling the constructor. Now you think and tell me how many times the constructor is getting called. What is the possible answer? Jyoti says SB IB tcon. Okay, trustful. What about others? Why only 2 people are off? What about Darshini? What about Samikta is not yet joined? What about others? Jyoti and okay, so let me run this. Okay, this is the code. SB static block will be recognized first, so output is SB. No doubts about it. No doubts about this. Okay, and we have IB Tcon, IB Tcon. Why it is getting printed for 2 times? Okay, just now we have discussed it. Just now we have discussed this. Okay, let me keep this program crispy. Okay, so static block, the since there is only one static block, they get recognized and executed. It will always get executed only once, no matter what. Okay, firstly, the static block will be recognized and executed at the time of loading the bytecode to the memory. So only once it will happen. So the output is going to be what? SB will be displayed in the console. Right, after this, what the main thread will be created. Main thread will execute all the instructions inside the placed inside the main method. Okay, and we have a main method. Inside the main method, directly we are calling we are using a new keyword followed by what we are calling what? Test class constructor. Okay, first instruction inside the main, this is the first instruction inside the main method. Okay, because of this new keyword, memory will be created, but we are not trying to give any reference variable. We are not specified any reference variable. That's why it will not have any reference variable, just a blank. Okay, and the respective constructor will be called. Okay, test class constructor will be called. Okay, so the control will be transferred to the test class constructor. Okay, but before executing this test class constructor, it will look for any instance context. Okay, there is one instance context here. It will execute the instance context, instance block, then it will execute the constructor. Okay, first is what? IB, second one is Tcon. Okay, output is going to be what? IB. Second one is what? Tcon will be displayed in the console. Okay, so this is over. This part is over. Okay, and again the new instruction. Next instruction is what? Again new test. Okay, new test. Okay, tested class constructor will be called. Second time, for second time it is called. Okay, Tcon will be displayed. Before that, it will execute the instance block. There is already one instance block. IB, this block will get executed. Then the constructor execution will happen. So IB Tcon again. Again what? IB Tcon. That's why we got SB IB Tcon IB Tcon. Static only once, but instance block, no, they get every time, they get executed every time the constructor is called. That's why we got output as what? SB IB Tcon IB Tcon. Making sense, everyone? You're close to the answer, but the answer should be SB IB Tcon IB Tcon. Why 2 times IB Tcon IB Tcon? 2 times the constructor call is happening. 2 times we are calling the constructor. If I call the constructor for the third time, don't you think that output is going to be what? Output is going to be SB. Okay, output is going to be SB. Then test constructor is called test constructor. Okay, before executing this test constructor, if it will check for the instance block, that is instance block, which is going to display IB in the console. Okay, IB will be printed first, then Tcon will be displayed in the console. Okay, this call is over, and again we are calling it for 2 more times, right? We are calling the same constructor for 2 more times. So this IB Tcon will be displayed once again for 2 more times. This will be the output. Every time the constructor is called, the instance block will get executed, then the respective constructor will get executed. Right? If I use it for 4 times, same thing, but IBcon, IBTcon will be displayed for 4 times. Getting this? Want me to show the proof? Let me show. SB, see, IBTcon is being displayed for 4 times, right? Okay, next question. You are getting this, guys? Very easy. If you revise this, you will get this. You people are not revising it. That's a problem. Yes, no? Shall we proceed further? Come on, we need to complete this topic today. Okay. Okay, so instance block, we got to know the priority of instance block and the static block. Now let me do one more thing. Let us understand the instance control flow. Okay, I have an instance block. I have a constructor. I have an instance block. Let me take an instance variable like integer a equal to method 1. Okay, here. Okay, so I am taking an instance variable here. Then variable name is a itself. Okay, the data type is integer type. So this is called as an instance variable. Why it is called as an instance variable? You don't see the static keyword. Without static keyword, we call it as what? Instance variable. But we are not assigning the value directly. Instead of the value, we are doing a method call. Okay, indirectly, this method will be called, and this method is going to return some value. Okay, let us take the value as ret return 100. Okay, since the return type is integer, I am taking here as integer itself. Okay, and I am using a small statement here, system.out.println m1. M1 is what? Not mathematics, method 1. Okay, so the theory says, we have already discussed this theory a number of times. Again, I'm telling you, the instance variables and blocks are recognized and executed before executing the respective class constructor. Just focus this point. Okay, before executing the respective class constructor, the variables, instance variables and blocks are recognized and executed before executing the respective class constructor, right? But the instance methods are recognized and executed at the time of method call with the object reference. Okay, so having said this, let me go back to this code. Okay, I hope this code is you're able to see this code, I hope. Okay, so I have, this is an instance variable. Okay, this is an instance variable. This is what? This is instance method. Okay, and here we have, this is what? Instance block. Okay, we know that instance variables and instance block, they are recognized and executed before executing the constructor. So definitely constructor is required to execute variable, instance variable and instance block. Definitely the constructor is required. We don't place any constructor if I'm not creating any object. Do you think that we are going to see any output in the console? Are we going to find something, anything in the console? Is anything will be executed in the console without any constructor? If I run this code, what is the output? If I run this code, what output will get in the console? Come on, guys, everyone, answer. If I run this code, what output we will get? Error. Why we will get error, Jyotian? Nothing will be displayed in the console. One minute, I am making any mistake here. Test class test is there. Okay, file save as test.java. Okay. Java space xyz dot output is going to be blank. Why output is blank? Okay, this is our code. Okay, first you find if is there any static blocks are there or not. Okay, there is no static block. Okay, we have a variable. So in this class, in this particular class, we have instance variable. Okay, the first thing is what, this is what instance variable. Then we have instance method. Okay, then we have instance block. Okay, this is instance block. Okay, then we have constructor. Okay, test class constructor we have, this is the constructor. Okay, then we have main method. Okay, inside the main method there are no instructions. No instructions, it is empty. Main method is empty. Okay, so even though in the main method there are no instructions, it will try to identify if there is any static context. Okay, there is no static context. All we have is, we have instance variable, we have instance method, we have instance block, we have a constructor. That's it, no static context. So output is going to be empty only, right? Because there is no statement in the main method. So that's why output is blank. That's why output is blank. Good, Skamikta. But that's why output is blank. Okay, now I am doing a small modification here. The modification is, I am creating a constructor. I am creating an object, test obj equal to new test. Okay, object creation has been done. Object is created. Okay, let us go back to the same code. Because of this object creation, okay, because of this object creation, okay, what will happen? Because of this object creation, we are calling what, the respective class constructor. Now we are calling the constructor. Okay, before even calling the constructor, okay, because of this object creation, because of this new keyword, a memory space will happen, and this is going to be what, obj, right? And this is going to store all the instance variable. Okay, this is going to store what, all the instance variables, right? So the variable integer, there is one instance variable integer a equal to a equal to a equal to what, a equal to method 1. Okay, so it has to store some value here. Okay, but the value is not a direct value. The value is what, the method 1. The value is what, method 1. So the method 1 execution will happen now. The method 1 will execution will happen now. So all the content in the method 1 will get executed. Okay, the first content is m1 will be displayed in the console. Okay, m1 will be displayed in the console. Secondly, okay, this method is returning what, 100. This method is returning a value 100. Okay, this 100 will be assigned to the variable a. This 100 will be assigned to the variable a. Okay, I can retrieve this variable. I can assign it here. Okay. Okay, so what has happened? This instance variable is recognized and executed before executing the constructor. So m1 will be displayed on the console. Okay, m1 will be displayed on the console. Then at the time of executing this constructor, so this is the constructor that we have. Okay, this is the constructor that we have. Before executing this constructor, it will execute the instance block, right? IB will be displayed on the console. IB will be displayed on the console. Then tcon will be displayed on the console. The things, because of this one line, this many things are happening. Let me run this. M1 IB tcon. Okay, theory. This is giving justification to our theory. The instance variables on blocks are recognized and executed before executing the respective class constructor. What does it mean? Before even executing the constructor, instance variables has to be stored in the memory. Okay, so 100 has to be stored in the memory. This is not a direct 100. Okay, the a is again internally calling method 1. This method 1 has to get executed. From this, it is retrieving a value 100. But in the process of retrieving this value, m1 is getting displayed in the console. This is the proof that internally variables are getting recognized before executing the constructor. This is the proof, right? As soon as this value is stored, okay, the constructor will be tried to get executed, but before executing this constructor, this instant blocks will be recognized and executed. So ib will be executed, then tcon will be executed. Okay, having said this, okay, when you see the output is m1 ib tcon. Because of this one object creation, m1 ib tcon. Okay, if I do the object creation for the 2 times, okay, this is obj1, this is test obj2 new test. Okay, if the object creation is being done for the 2 times, okay, because of this we are getting the 3 statements in the console. What are they? We are getting m1 ib and tcon. Okay, so m1 ib tcon. Okay, and again we are creating an object. Don't you think that again same thing will be repeated? m1 ib tcon. Okay, if you are creating an object for the 3rd time, don't you think that same thing will be repeated? This is the control flow of instance context. Okay, let me run this. Okay, same thing is being repeated. Okay, so instance variables and instance blocks, they always get recognized before executing the respective class constructor. But if you're not even creating an object or executing the constructor, the output is ideally going to be blank only, right? Because these 3 things, they are always depend upon this respective class constructor, right? Forget about the method. Instant variable and instant block, okay, they will get recognized and executed before executing the constructor. But for the static variable, they get recognized and executed at the time of loading the bytecode. But for the instance variables and blocks, they get recognized and executed only when the constructor is getting recognized. Only when you execute this constructor, before executing this constructor, these things will be recognized and executed. Okay, if you're not even touching the constructor, if you're not even executing the constructor, don't you think that the output is going to be blank, guys? Yes or no? Are you getting my point? Why we are getting blank? Yes, no? Who has answered wrong? Everyone answered. Are you getting this? Yeah. Okay. Now let me take another example. This is a conclusion. Let me remove. Yeah. Class A. Think and answer me. Instance IB, this is instance block of class A. This is instance block of class test. Okay, we have 2 instance blocks. So we have one test class constructor, and I am going to place another constructor here. Okay, so this is going to be what? This is going to be the A class constructor. Okay, tcon, this is acon. Okay, so if I run this, what will be the output, guys? You want time for thinking? What will be the output? Okay, so these are only instance blocks. We have only instance blocks and a constructor we have, and we have another instance block in a different class, and we have a constructor we have with respect to that block. Okay, in the main method, nothing is there. So the output is definitely going to be blank. Yes or no? Output is going to be blank, right? Yes or no? Any confusion here? If I run this code, the output is blank, right? Do you agree with that? Hello? Yeah. Output is going to be, definitely it is going to be blank. Okay, let me run this. Output is blank, nothing, because we are not calling any constructor. Okay, suppose if I am calling, okay, if I'm creating an object for class A obj equal to new A. So the object is being created for the class A. Now the class A constructor is getting called. A class constructor is getting called. Okay. Now what will be the output? Tell me. A class constructor is getting called. Before calling the respective class constructor, the respective classes instance blocks or variables will be recognized, should be recognized and executed. Okay. Having said this, what will be the output that we can expect here now? Come on. Come on. We are calling A class constructor. What is the output? IBA Acon. Good Jyoti. Good Jyoti. Yeah. Okay. IBA Acon. Why IBA Acon? IBA Acon. Why IBA Acon? Okay. We are calling A class constructor. Okay. Class A constructor. Okay. This is the A class constructor. So before executing this line, it has to execute the instance block. So IBA will be displayed in the console. Then Acon will be displayed in the console. Do you agree with Jyoti? Are you getting this? Yeah. Okay. If I do a small change here, I'm creating an object for class test. Test obj equal to new test. Okay. Now what is output? Now I am calling the test class constructor. So this is a test class constructor. Before executing this test class constructor, something will happen behind the scenes. If you understood the previous constructor topic, you will get this definitely. Okay. Just tell me if you can answer this, or I will trace you the answers. Just guess the output of this code. Are you getting my question? Are you able to solve this, or you want me to answer this? Tell me. At least tell that we will conclude this topic today. You got my question now? IBA Acon, IBA Bcon, IBA Acon, IB testcon. Good Jyotian. Right. Why others are not answering? You want me to do the tracing? Come on, make it fast. Tell me that. Hello. Darshini, Samyukta, Jyoti, yes. You want me to do the tracing? Yeah. Let me do it for you guys. You should practice, guys. People are not practicing. Definitely these things won't make any sense if you stop doing practicing. So we have discussed a lot about this Java constructor, especially the super keyword and this keyword. So many things we have discussed, but still you are depending upon the tracing. So why? Let me keep it in black. Okay, the job of the compiler is to do what? I'm repeating this once again. The job of the compiler is to do, it is going to extend every class to object class. Okay, extends object. Okay, and so this class will not get extended to object class because already the class is extending to class A. Okay, apart from this, the compiler will also place what? The super keyword with respect on top of every constructor. First line should always be what? The super keyword. Why super keyword? If you forgot this, repeat the Java constructors topic that I have taken previously. Super keyword will be placed here. Okay, now the main method will get executed. Okay, test class constructor is called. Okay, so the control will come to the test class constructor. Control will come to the test class constructor. Okay, but this is not a direct call. Okay, the first line of this test class constructor is what? The super. It's a super call, right? Super means, what does the super specifies? Okay, the current class is extending to a class, so a class constructor needs to be called. Replace that super keyword with the class that is getting extended to which class this current class is getting extended to. It is extended to a class, so replace the super keyword with a class. Okay, from here the a class constructor will be called. Okay, and again from here we have a super keyword, which means super will be replaced with the object class. Why object class? That is a parent class of this current class. Okay. In the object class nothing will be there, the constructor is going to be empty. Okay, it will come back like the way it went. Okay, the control will go there and it will come back. Control will just go there, okay, and it will just come back. Okay, acon has to be displayed in the console, but before displaying the acon, okay, the instance block of the respective class needs to be displayed. So IBA will be displayed in the console first, then acon will be displayed. So the output is going to be what? IBA acon, right? So a constructor call has been over. Okay, the control has to come back to the place it was sent previously. So from here it has to come back to this place. Before executing this, the respective class constructor, the respective class instance block needs to be executed. So IB test will be get executed. Then tcon. IBA acon, IB test tcon. Right. So this is how this is the output. Where is the proof? IBA acon, IB test tcon. Are you getting this, everyone? Because of the manipulations that is being done by the compiler behind the scene, these things are happening. Okay, so this is all about the instance control flow, instance and static control flow. Okay, you people need to do a lot of revision, or else it will